Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to more BTS Americas 4 action here. We're getting ready to close out the final semifinal matchup, and after this, we'll know exactly which two teams will be in the grand final. We already saw earlier today, I'll show you the updated bracket. Shazam take down Animal Kingdom 2-0, and they're the first team to secure their spot in the grand final. Animal Kingdom will be walking away with $1,000. Shazam have secured at least $3,000. And now it's up to these two teams to see which is going to be making it into that grand final spot for the big $5,000 or who will be walking away with a measly, tiny, pathetic $1,000. I'm KotLGuy, going to be bringing you the casting coverage, and I'm going to be joined remotely from good buddy Blaze. Blaze, welcome back, my friend. Thank you so much for joining me. A bit of patience from you, of course, and from everyone watching. Sorry about the late start. XSplit was having some problems, but Blaze, are you there? Are you coming in loud and clear? Let's make sure this is all working.
Hopefully it is. I'm looking forward to the match, man. Obviously, we're here in the semifinals, so it's obviously showing teams that have proven themselves throughout round after round and are looking to be one of those like top echelons of the North American scene. Of course, EG is back strong with a couple new members. Heck, we might even be able to call DC a North American team again. I'm not sure, but no matter the case, these guys are going to be the ones that are fighting and nipping at their heels as we go into the next stage of the Dota season.
And look at the start already. We'll just hop into the draft at hand here. Freedom, a team I actually have yet to cast here in the tournament. When they played in their opening round matchup, it was actually the day I believe Lyrical had to step in, and that's when they went up against the Gossip Girls. They knocked out Gossip Girls, and then we know that in their next round they were slated to go against Digital Chaos, but Digital Chaos wasn't a thing anymore at the time. They're now a new team, but obviously, we're not able to participate in the rest of this tournament, so they have been awarded the bye, and now I'll firsthand get to see what they're going to do here, and I'm already noticing something a bit different, but something I'm also not surprised by, Blaze. A lot of favor into IX Mike at the start of the draft. Usually it's them going for a priority grab like an Enchantress or a Baden, or the other team respecting that and banning it flat out. Here we see them ban both of IX Mike's heroes. They've been able to snag up a Doom and Gyro for their 1-2 punch, while Freedom put more priority in the Invoker. And I can tell you, man, Francis plays a seriously good Invoker. I'm waging he still plays the mid lane, right?
Yeah,
okay.
He definitely still has just so much potential in that role that you really just can't pass it up. But yeah, I mean, they are actually getting a little bit greedy with this draft. I mean, part of that, I guess, is the fact that the Doom Gyrocopter is the response to the first pick Invoker, but going with the Invoker and the Spectre in Phase 1 really shows that you're going to be very powerful in the late game, but when the time being period where the Gyrocopter hits his BKB and Infamous start pushing together, I'm actually a little worried that both Invoker and Spectre won't be online fully enough to really combat that.
We'll have to see if they're going to be able to make up for that in the support staff, but it doesn't get any less greedy there, Blaze. Third pick is going to be a freaking Life Stealer. I don't know if this is going to be an IX Mike off-lane Life Stealer specialty or a 4 position there. We did see one of these already earlier this tournament, if I'm not mistaken, and that was it King RD playing it in a 4 position, or was it was an off-lane, a dual off-lane actually, if I'm not mistaken. So they're really going all out with the core potential here. Late game is, without a shadow of a doubt, looking pretty damn nice for Freedom, but what's your take on already just kind of showing your full hand here with your first 3 picks and neglecting your support staff till the very end?
Reserve time.
Well, one thing I will have to issue a quick correction here. Looking at their more recent games, actually Francis has taken the safe lane role. There were a number of games in the early stage of this roster where Francis was still playing his signature mid, but I hadn't caught up with the more recent matches in this month, and it is actually Francis most likely playing the Spectre in the safe lane, so that would leave an opportunity for Sunby to pick up the Invoker mid. But as to your question here, there is obviously some risk in showing your hand in a couple ways. Obviously, right now, the thing that they're showing the most is their tempo. Their tempo is, when Lifestealer hits 6, he'll be scarier because he's in an Ancient Creep. When Invoker gets enough damage output, usually around level 8, level 9, he's going to be scary because of his spells. And late game, they're going to be very scary just because of how strong Spectre scales. But so that means that they're showing that they're going to be weak in the laning phase, and it also shows that they're going to be weak to early push. So the Infamous have all this knowledge, and with that, should be looking to, every time they have Doom off cooldown, look to take an objective. And if they're fought for it, then they're going to take it to Freedom, generally speaking. The thing though, that I'm interested in is the fact that Freedom have such a diverse set of cores. They're all greedy, they're all slow tempo, but they're also countered by completely different things. Invoker is countered by Silence, where Lifestealer shrugs off a lot of magical disables, and in fact, inside an Ancient Creep, like, what can Crystal Maiden do? Nothing. Like, none of her spells will affect him.
Yeah.
So, like, there's actually a nice variety that they have, even though it's all kind of greedy, all of it slow tempo and needs a little bit to come online. None of it is countered by one specific thing.
10 seconds remaining.
And we'll have to see how they're going to be able to balance out what would be labeled as greedy here. They lead in with a Witch Doctor grab. Certainly does help a lot, I guess, if in a hectic, crazy team fight, a Coconut could definitely leave things in a bit of a chaotic state, and plus provides a good chance to be able to cancel out a crazy Crystal Maiden ulti. Nonetheless, provides good Maldic work and a good heal and source of sustain, where really the team was already lacking it to that point, with maybe the exception of open wounds, I suppose. But Infamous feels a bit more on the passive side as far as support staff goes. I'm not suspecting too much heavy early movement. Maybe can do some in-lane work with this Doom if it is going to be one of those more frisky Dooms. But as it looks right now, this with a Crystal Maiden and a Dazzle, Blaze, is this going to be a off-lane Doom? Just a basic kind of off-lane Doom setup here? I'm curious.
Yeah, that would make the most sense here.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that the Crystal Maiden or Dazzle would take any level of farm priority. They're both actually extremely low scaling, and well, Crystal Maiden can still scale technically, but the more important thing is just how great they are with no items. Whereas Doom, he likes to build himself up. He likes to be a bit of a beefcake and get a pretty large arsenal treasury behind him before he starts making his moves. So I would say off-lane Doom. He'll go into the jungle if he has to, if he gets pressured too hard by the safe lane. But in general, yeah, you're just going to be looking at the Crystal Maiden and the Dazzle taking your support positions. And I would say even Crystal Maiden could take 4-position farm. So while, again, she can't do anything to Lifestealer, maybe she can make something cool happen with like a BKB Ags kind of build up, as the game is going to be forced in the mid game. I don't think this is the lineup that really takes racks at like 18 to 20 minutes. They do have to make sure that they go with their Doom cooldowns and with their Roshan cycles.
Will be one of the few crazy games where Earth Spirit will actually be ignored entirely in the draft. I don't get to see those very often, but yeah, you never know. Maybe it could pop up for Freedom if this is going to be a very selfless Witch Doctor, but nonetheless. Whoa! We don't see that guy very often at all, at least not in this patch. It'd been a South American kind of a classic, the Huskar Dazzle combo, back in action again. So let's kind of reflect a bit, Blaze. Why is it that, for many people who have been living under a rock a bit, why was it that Huskar was such a big deal before and now is just pretty much extinct?
Well, the main thing about Huskar is, mind you, they did not ban Ancient Apparition, so I think this is a pretty clear AA grab. Just my 2 cents here. But the thing about Huskar was before, when he was on low HP, his passive would be extremely powerful in keeping him alive through various types of damage, and it would also allow him to be hyper offensive. Comboing up with the Dazzle, you've got that full potential with the Shallow Grave. Now, Berserker's Blood just isn't as good. It actually only gives you a maximum bonus magic resistance of 50%, which gives you like 60-something. We'll do the math later, but it definitely doesn't take you to near magical immortality like it used to. Berserker's Blood was such a good passive, and you had to essentially always get a Silver Edge to mute it if you wanted to kill him in anything other than physical and pure. But I'm not so sure here. Not only in a nerf state in this patch, but you're up against pure damage from Invoker and Spectre, physical damage from Lifestealer and Witch Doctor. Kotaro Hayama is amazing on this hero. He has tons of experience with it, but I'm not 100% sold.
It feels like something that Kotaro must have pitched to get for himself. He's just like, give me the Huskar, or I feel like I can pull it out or something, because only a crazy man would be considering Huskar this day and age. But we'll see how it works out. But what about the Phoenix grab? I'm not even certain that I'm super sold on something like the Phoenix grab. I feel like Huskar should have no problem with the egg. They have respectable right-click in that department. There is lacking still a bit of the silence with the exception of the Doom, but you're probably not going to want to be using your Doom on the Phoenix anyway. I mean, maybe. I don't know. It depends on the fight. But what's your take on the Phoenix grab there at the end and passing over something like you were saying, and I was definitely considering as well as the Ancient Apparition?
I think it is a bit of a mistake to lose out on the AA just because you would be canceling Scorched Earth, Shadow Wave, and any lifesteal from the Huskar, as well as shattering him at low HP. The Phoenix still does bring a lot to the table. While his Supernova, as you alluded to, is actually really poor this game, and he's only going to be able to use it situationally and at a pretty significant distance from his opposition, his Sunray is amazing. Doom is one of the highest base HP and base strength heroes in the game, and Huskar loves to stack strength early, so if you've got the Sunray up against that, you're going to be able to just chew through those HP pools really quickly, and that'll set up Freedom to kind of land the killing blows.
I want to double check. I don't really have the capability right now of how many Huskars have been picked up this patch in competitive Dota, and I got to say it's certainly in the single digits. I remember when I looked back at the bottom when I wanted to see how few times KotL has been picked. I think it's something like he was actually picked a decent amount.
Holy crap.
But Huskar one time. This is going to be the second time now Huskar's even appeared in this meta. And it's going to be by a team that used to play it one of the best, one of the most aggressive. And now we're going to see a Royal Rumble break out. The cast is going to fly, get some good bounces. Sunbi, those got the dagger, and we'll be able to make it to the high ground and away from trouble. And at the end of the day, it will be 2 bounty runes awarded to Team Freedom.
That pesky Spectral Dagger action for the bounty rune, it's something that we actually have seen more and more often, like just in pubs and stuff like that. That's actually a pretty frequent way to respond to the bounty rune thing, is just because there's always a cliff nearby. You can hop down the cliff, grab it, and make your way out. And while most heroes would be screwed over, all the Spectre has to do is survive through the Frostbite, and she'll be right back up to safety. So is able to take advantage of that nicely, and that is going to be setting them up nicely. As Spike, has nearly level 2, walking right up with an Orb of Venom and Feast and says, okay, come at me, Kotaro.
Yeah, you'd think Huskar would be one of the manliest in the game, but Mike is not worried one bit, and now he's level 2. This is very scary for the Huskar and should not get close. Crystal Maiden is on the way and has decided to level up her Frostbite first here, but Jubei's also made his appearance here, and it turns into a dual lane, one that will turn out to be a bit difficult here for the Huskar, but we'll keep tabs on it just to check. But that does leave Sunbi at the moment all alone as the Phoenix is hanging around the mid lane here. Spectre going to be suffering quite a bit. Just we'll have to wait it out. It will be only the Dazzle to kind of zone her back, but he's definitely going to be doing what he can to make sure she's not a part of this lane.
So moving forward here, we're going to be seeing a lot of aggression up top. The Crystal Maiden, early on, she doesn't have much mana to work with. Obviously, the Arcane Aura will help out, but even then, she's letting 1 Frostbite, which again, the Lifestealer can shrug off very easily, and she's got just this limited mana pool where it costs over half the mana. So you'll see Kotaro drop very low very quickly here, and this is where he'll stay. The Fairy Fire and Tango are really good at him fighting under tower, but I don't think Might cares too much. He doesn't have the Rage, so he will take a few tower shots, but in general, the amount of aggression he's able to facilitate up here is not what Infamous were expecting.
Yeah, being able to balance the aggression in the lane and still be able to get some CS. He's second right now at 6-0. And matching up with him here back at the mid lane, Invoker at 7-4 that moment. He's going against the Gyrocopter. We've been seeing a lot of this recently. A-Tune going to be sporting the homing missile build up here. And can end up being a bit frustrating here for Sunbi, who's gone with the Quas Exort kind of a build up here. So there's not a lot of lockdown though on this team, Blaze, when you really look at Team Freedom, with the exception of the Coconut top lane, though. Oof, catch the back into that. A melting Crystal Maiden going to be going down under that big sunbeam. And now it's going to be a retreat here from Freedom. They've already want 1 kill. They turn right back, though, for Bang. He's going to have to dish out the Grave. Kotaro moves in to try to keep him back. There's going to be the Icarus dive. It gets some burn damage here, but not going to be enough to go for the finish. They turn their sights on for Kotaro instead, and they'll get that one. He's going to be able to get a Grave kill, but doesn't matter. He's not going to be part of the XP. Mike does burn down quite a bit here, but will be able to survive and limp his way back to safety.
So Huskar will trade 1 for 1 up on the top lane while, of course, the CM gets killed in the tower dive. Now, we're seeing Axel just really having a limited progression. He's going to try to Frostbite jungle. He'll try to get boots is really his top priority, because you need to be able to get away from that Lifestealer. You need to be quick on your feet. At least Tranquils or something is going to be very beneficial in this game.
Oh, Greedy's making a move for Sunbi here. He'd been smacking her with that Infernal Blade, and one last strike from it was enough for him to pounce. He pulls out the Scorched Earth and just runs her down. She had been lacking quite a bit of support here in the bottom lane. There had been forced movement coming out a lot from Eagle, which I never acknowledged. He's appropriately playing the Phoenix with that name. And you know, same even goes for Jubei on the Witch Doctor. So the Spectre's been stuck alone in a bit of a rut, so it will be a slow start for her.
Yeah, and I think that was maybe a bit of a mistake from Freedom. Obviously, they got a lot of their commitment top, but it was very clear that Greedy could just kind of dive the Spectre at that point in time without really any impunity. So is able to really directly contest this essentially 1v1 lane now and make it very difficult for the Spectre to move forward. Sunbee only at 4 and 2. So yeah, it's actually going to be a really rough time for the Spectre to build up. Hopefully she gets a Haunt assist or two, but yeah, she's going to be kind of making a slow comeback throughout this game.
And while it's not going so good for her, the Doom is very happy here. 21-5, highest CS in the game, and there the Inferno Blade goes again. And he's looking to run her down. A rotation will come out from Jubei, but the burn is just too hot. And he's going to be feeling it too. Oh,
no.
It's so freaking hot. Where are my oven mitts at? He's getting burned apart. And with the Dazzle's assistance in the heal, Food of Restoration will help a bit, but it's still just not enough. Greedy helps take the lives of 2 now from the side of Freedom, and Infamous pull ahead 4-2.
Yeah, it's just way more effective for Doom to make these kinds of dives than the Lifestealer, because although they both have the Orb of Venom and they had the boots at the time, now Phase on Greedy, but Doom has this natural HP regen. He has not only Dazzle behind it, but this Scorched Earth, which is still really powerful at the higher levels and is going to allow him to really commit into more dangerous positions and get out alive. So Doom is now 2-0-1. Michael trying to match that as best he can, but it's still going for him.
I'm seeing Freedom now losing all 3 lanes at this point. I mean, Mike was doing very well at the top lane. It looks like they're going to try to make a recovery play up there. Even with Sunbee getting involved, not level 6 yet, but with the level 3 dagger they wagered, that could be enough. Mike was doing good work in this lane, and now the Huskar's been able to match up in the farm against him. And, oh, mid lane, huge dive. Look to get a hold of Flea here, and they will.
Yeah. So they saw the Crystal Maiden on the Observer Ward, but they really wanted to get the Huskar. That's why they were waiting so long. In the end, they just push her away from the tower. Dazzle's Grave should come out too late. Actually with the heal.
He got that heal just in time, but yeah, nonetheless, the Coconut even going to help security. Gets the freeze off, but the damage had already been done. And Freedom will be able to get 1 kill for themselves, but it's a Crystal Maiden exchange for that Invoker takedown.
Top tower is under attack.
Very vulnerable hero at the early stages, low MS, and of course reliant on getting the hand of Midas early when you go for the Exhort. So it is just going to be a easy gank mid, but now up top we're going to be seeing A10 with that haste rune. He should be able to get at least 1 hero out of it, but the Rage TP from Lifestealer says no.
Yep. He even had a call down ready to go if the opportunity did present itself, but good retreat there from Freedom. And Infamous continue to kind of pump their chest out of it in this game. The net worth is certainly on their side, floating around that 2K mark. Same goes for the XP here. Never really acknowledged that, yeah, it is going to be Francis Sword, the mid lane Invoker this game. This Quas Exor build-up means he's going to be alluding to trying to grab a hold of an early Midas, but as you can see, Gyro has taken control as far as the CS in this lane, and those rockets, man. Ooh, that one, a chunk. A quarter of his life taken away from just that. And look at the Gyro, he even has another one ready to go. That has got to be very frustrating, and there's just not a lot of opportunities here for Freedom to kind of get the jump on this mid lane in that capacity. Eagle's going to attempt to zone him back a bit, but it's mostly help for the Rocket right now. Gyro can just do as he pleases.
Yeah, just this greed is really showing for the side of Team Freedom. The Invoker and the Spectre are constantly kind of forced to either move around the map or just get killed off. And it just feels like there's just not a good enough safe position. We're actually looking at Greedy almost going for the Doom here. He goes Scorched Earth right onto Mike, but doesn't actually see the comfortable opening. So instead it's going to be top lane where one Nova Frostbite sets up an easy kill and Huskar hits his level 6.
But they make their move on bottom. They make their move. The Coconut not going to be there and available for the bounce to get Greedy down. He walks away. That's a 3-on-1 gank there, Blaze, that Doom just TP's out from.
Yeah, and he's getting massive. He still has the Doom available, has yet to use it, but he's ready to just throw it down, most likely on the Invoker. That's your prime target to connect with. The Lifestealer isn't too bad of a pickup, though, himself. But more importantly, going back to what just happened up top, not only getting the kill on the Spectre, but setting up Katara for an armlet. This is the weakness when you don't draft Ancient Apparition against Huskar. Huskar gets to go the best item and for one of the best heroes for it. Huskar Armlet, it's like peanut butter and jelly. Like, this is such a natural combo because he thrives on low HP environments. The toggle allows him to barely avoid certain death in a lot of situations. He can live off the inner vitality and benefit from that as well. Like, there's just so much of this hero in terms of benefiting from strength in terms of benefiting on low HP, and the Armlet of Mordigian, it just syncs up with it so well. Ice Blast makes it almost impossible to pick this item up unless you're a Wraith King, and that's not going to be in Freedom's arsenal.
Yeah, and it's like if you fall back and they don't have the access to something like the Ancient Apparition, you would hope for hefty burst damage, and they don't even have a lot of that either. They're going to be making their move, and we'll see if they can get it done. He commits in. It's a 3-on-1, and he makes his first sight for Jubei. Going to be able to easily possibly burn him down. He will. The Voodoo Restoration still not good enough to be able to counteract it. Even Eagle going to get burned. Double kill for Kotaro at the end of the day, and all the meanwhile, even IX Mike going to be going down the bottom lane. Mustache and all. It's Infamous who take 3 all day.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard to actually bring this Huskar down. He's going to rush out a Morbid Mask. He's going to start just life-stealing on every hit, as the Burning Spears are no longer a unique attack modifier. Makes it so easy for him to just commit at low HP. Using Magic Wand and Armlet toggles, he can live through so much. And then, of course, the Shallow Grave is going to be behind him next time. I feel like it's been a little bit on the Dazzle, on Bang, to rotate and help the Huskar, where he's been focused on action elsewhere. I think that he now kind of needs to be in babysit mode. Sit behind the Huskar, and if they ever try for something like that again, not only will he get 2 to 3 kills, but he'll live through it all thanks to that Shallow Grave.
What do you think about how he's going to be, of the 2 supports, the one taking a bit more farm, and he decided to go with Power Treads for his buildup? Is that okay? I mean, passing over something like Arcane Boots and getting a bit more mana to kind of fall back on, maybe an early Medallion. I know it'd been nerfed a bit, but Power Treads for more life, I guess?
Yeah, it's definitely effective HP. It's like one of those situations where you're like up against heroes like Nyx Assassin and you're up against Dagons. You just go for like Power Treads, Bracers, stuff like that to survive. And I feel like the Dazzle, because he realizes that he's never going to realistically be able to Shallow Grave himself in a good team fight. He's going to have to grave somebody else, that he needs himself to have that raw HP. So you're going to be still seeing most likely a Medallion coming out, but he wanted to get this extra HP and that extra attack speed out from the treads first. And of course, there's still some mana potential with the Dazzle, with the Intreads, and then you also get to fall back on at least 1 point in the Arcane Aura.
Now, it looks like Kotaro has already made his move for the early Roche here. No one nearby to contest it whatsoever. And Mike has also found himself a nice little black dragon, so he's feeling a bit frisky, and he's putting that fireball to work. And after taking down that top tier 1, it looks like their business could head up towards that mid lane, while the rest of Infamous still continue to watch the perimeter here of Roche. There is some Freedom members nearby, but they're not looking to commit in. Trying to snag up those stacks of ogres here. Gyro will take what he can and walk away from it. But here they come. They're creeping in.
Oh.
Into the pit. The Roche is very low. It looks like they'll be able to get it, but there goes the haunt. The rotation from Sunbee, which quickly rids of the Aegis. Mike can be getting involved with his dragon. Dishes out more fire damage. Greedy very low. One more auto attack will be able to get the job done. And there it will happen. And it looks like Bang, potential to go down next. He gets burned up. Mike gets that one. And Kotaro's now on the run. Homing missile, a long connection here to be able to set up on the Invoker. Now he turns on to him. Together, the Sunray, though, turning on for Kotaro, and they're going to be able to get him down. Excel will be the follow-up, and it quickly turns into 4. Infamous. Losing everybody here nearly. Etune is going to be the last to make it away, but big fight for freedom. They get into the Roche. Not soon enough to stop it, but hey, just in time to quickly clear it down, get the Aegis down, and pretty much go for a team wipe, Blaze.
Absolutely. Like, that was just a perfect response to the situation. I mean, it's unfortunate that Infamous were able to claim the Roche, claim the Aegis, but bringing down the Aegis bearer twice over and still just cleaning up so many heroes in response, it really stifles Infamous's momentum. They ate a couple slams from Roche. They took a lot of damage overall. They weren't really in a position to tank Roche. They were just able to barely skate by and take it down. Mike casually walks in with the dragon. There's nothing they can do about it. And I feel like this is one of the bigger strengths of Freedom's lineup right now, is how strong Ancients are against Infamous's team. Again, Crystal Maiden can't do anything about it. Huskar cannot really do anything about it. Gyrocopter's single target DPS is pretty negligible as well. This Ancient is going to survive, and that means that Mike is going to be having a heyday, especially when he finishes the Radiance and the Vladimir's Offering.
We'll have to see if Infamous are going to be able to work their way around it. I mean, I guess a potential weakness could be if they're able to stretch the game out, but they don't have a lineup that really wants to go late game.
They can't afford to do that, man. Like,
that plan is not even something to consider. So while they want to be able to take fights and push, is all during that window when an Ancient is great to have. So We'll see if they're going to be able to make for it in other ways. Greedy had been gifted a lot of farm here, holds drums, and FaZe for now has the potential to race in there and get something set up, but you know, it ain't going to be easy, and Somebody's playing very passive right now. And it looks like he's already going to be heading out. There's just overall not any sort of hefty initiation here for the side of Infamous, except for a wild Duncan from your Kotaro Hayama.
Yeah, I mean, Kotaro could definitely slay heroes like Witch Doctor, maybe the Invoker, if he doesn't go on a Sunstrike, or if he does, he better have a Grave behind him. But, like, I feel the other heroes are actually too slippery. I mean, Icarus dive away is pretty easy. Spectre has a couple of ways of getting some distance, and, I mean, situationally, even, like, the Lifestealer might be able to just Rage CP like we've seen a couple times. It's going to require Greedy to use the Doom. I don't know. At this position, like Infamous, I feel like they just need to start taking objectives. They need to start suppressing the space. Oh, see a fight up top first.
Yep, Kotaro makes a jump for the Invoker as he tries to get off the Sunstrike combo there. Now eating that Sun Ray, and it continues to burn, but the Grave keeps him alive. There's going to be the heal. There's going to be the toggle. Gets the burn onto Sunby and looks to run. Sunby will go down, and he gets the double. Kotaro doing work like he always used to do on the Huskar. Gets a triple. Beautifully done. He mitigates it around so nicely, knows when he gets one target down and goes right for the next.
Yeah, I mean, you have to live life on the edge when you're kind of this position with kind of pseudo high ping from South America. It's very impressive that he's able to time things so perfectly. The Shadow Wave sets up the armlet toggle, sets up amazing turnaround from Infamous, and yeah, the armlet will just allow the Huskar to continue to do work. And I don't know, maybe he even hard rushes a Satanic. Like, usually you look at BKB at this kind of a game, but like you said, there's not that much control. There's what, Cold Snap, Cask? Like, I would actually say you could rush the Satanic instead of worrying about BKB. No, he goes for the Sange.
Sange. He wants some Triceratops? I don't know what kind of dinosaur that is. He wants some blood. Force Mike backing away here, but with the Sange build up here, is it straight to the halberd then? Like, you get the benefit of evasion that they can't really work through, with the exception of Mike going into rage form if he happens to not be an ancient. But is it, I guess, respectable disarm to take the Spectre out of the fight? I don't know.
I mean, there's not really a great disarm target as a thing. The evasion is amazing because Huskar just becomes that harder to kill off. So that I would still see Halberd is possible, but I wouldn't completely rule out Silver Edge, which has the ability to mute passives like Dispersion and make Spectre one of the squishiest heroes in the game.
Absolutely.
But for now, it's less about what item is next and much more about whether or not Freedom can hold their high ground.
Let's see if Freedom can do it here. Haunt up in 3 seconds time, but Tier 3 is already taking a good amount of damage now to its half of its life here. Huskar with only its second competitive appearance in this patch, on the way to getting a victory. Mike's shown up now. He's got a big boy Granite Golem here, and as the Sunray shoots out, repositioning here from Infamous, and awaiting their target to engage. It's very slow to roll this one as they pull back. Mike slowly losing out his golem here, the big mech. He's riding around in the vessel. Could be cracked apart here soon. This is a good slow siege play. I mean, they have the time. It's on Infamous' side right here. And soon there'll be no tower to defend. Nursing, holding on to the Doom. A new weave just came out. They're going to use it defensively. The armor, it's going to begin to tick up. So if they want to take a fight here, it could happen any moment while their armor is so swole. And as a coconut will be mildly bounced through. Infamous just being very disciplined with their slow siege here. I mean,
yeah, but it's because it's so important. If they let up here, it's going to be the big items coming out for Freedom in the next chance. So they have to take a Rax advantage. I don't think the range Rax cuts it. I think they really need to make the melee Rax happen too. So while they will back off, I think they're just waiting for a Doom opportunity, and then they're going to look to go right back in.
For now, Mike chases them back a bit, but the range Rax did already go down. Alright, they still play it slow here. They know that the game is on their side, and while they do this, Freedom are also forced to just sit there in defense and can't really do much as far as farm on the side, though. At this moment, Sunby is working towards this mid lane. He has Haunt in case the fight does break out, but he can't afford to just be sitting in base this whole time for the slow siege. He has to be able to get something there on the side. That will happen, and it also looks like Mike has disconnected from the game, and we will await his return.
All right, so I mean that's obviously unfortunate. It's a very critical time in this game here because it gives Infamous a little bit more time to think about exactly how they want to move. They also have vision, and they're also able to move their cameras because they weren't the ones to initiate the pause or to cause the pause. So they get to kind of assess the situation, look at who's going to be able to get what spells off, if the Invoker is going to be a real threat here. I don't know, like the reason I think this timing is so paramount is not because Infamous are about to fall off. Like some really gank heavy lineups without any scaling will start falling off pretty early, like 25 or so minutes. It's because the Radiance is going to come out for Mike very soon. He's actually sitting on 3,800 gold. Courier going after the Secret Shop. That's your relic. He is very, very close to the Radiance, at which point this Ancient Creep isn't just a walking meat shield. This thing is actually something they have to be worried about. That being said, Gyro will still be able to fall off on fall back on a massive ancient stack, courtesy actually two Dominators. So I'm not sure who's stacking. I guess it is the Gyro, but in either case, it is going to be a really good fallback plan for Infamous. But because of that Radiance factor, they still feel compelled that they need to take this melee Rax. One Rax per row cycle seems like a pretty good criteria for getting the win condition for this game.
Nice storyboard for Infamous to be able to take this game number 1. And as they already taken down the range, Rax melee still standing pretty solid here. They'll begin to go to work on it. And as you mentioned, plenty to fall back on. But Rax, as we know, has been buffed a couple of times over the past couple of patches on how much, value they do give to a team once they take down. So already at a 10k net worth advantage. Freedom really haven't had much of the net worth advantage this game at all. And that just comes down to how the laning was set up a bit. I mean, Blaze, since we have the moment and the game is paused, we can reflect back a bit. It was a strong start. We saw Mike be able to take control of the lane. He was pretty much zoning back the Huskar on his own, but eventually things just kind of got changed up a bit. We saw Spectre getting picked off and the support staff from Freedom moving around. Was it them moving around too much, or did Infamous just kind of have their number on how they set up the lanes?
I mean, I feel like there was potential for Freedom if they did more to babysit the Spectre. Lifesteal is a hero that can play very defensively in the laning phase. He started off great at the level 1 encounter, chewing into a lot of Huskar's region. What it means is that as long as he has Rage available, he doesn't have to be afraid of Huskar and Crystal Maiden until at least level 6. I feel like they could have played for the top lane a little bit more as a balance of offense and defense, where sure you push your advantage, you make sure that Dazzle and CM are forced to sit the lane instead of jungling, but then after that's certain, and that's why I don't mind the Witch Doctor rotating up there, for example, but after that's certain, I feel like then you still need to make sure you're focusing on the Spectre. Like Sunbee being able to get that much more potential with each haunt and building himself up to be a scary force to be reckoned with, I feel has a bit more potential. And it definitely means that Doom isn't snowballing out so hard. That being said, the credential I gave for them getting back in this game was Mike's Radiance, and that's been expedited because of that process. So while they lose a lane, I feel like they get the farm and the heroes they need it on the Invoker and the Lifestealer. So it's kind of a mix of good and bad. I feel it just comes with the territory, comes with the draft, and it's something that they're just going to have to manage with the next couple of encounters.
Yeah, it's just a shame because some of them just still need more time to make it work. We're seeing Sunbee getting so close to having his bad man set up for his Spectre to be able to get a bit more done in a lot of these fights, with Drums coming to a finish soon. The Invoker being able to finish off his Midas and has his own set of drums, but nothing to show for it yet, but is starting to get a buildup of gold. We already mentioned about Mike, who is pretty much on his way to picking up his Relic, but that's the beauty of the Infamous draft right now, and how we've always seen them play things like Huskar if just given the opportunity. And he gets that early armlet. He's not a guy who's looking to back down. He's not going to be stepping off and making jungle farm happen. He's looking around, looking to take heads, and being able to follow with big objectives. He moved right in to get the Roche, and ever since then it's been go, go, go. And it looks like we actually will get to go now. Mike has returned from his internet problems, and we'll see if he's going to be able to help defend this melee Rax, because Infamous want it. They want game number 1. And this best of 3 is almost like a mini $2,000 tournament in itself. So the Doom goes out. It's going to be on Eagle here. So no Icarus dive, no egg. Doesn't even have to worry about any sort of potential fight as they leave. I guess it could help secure the retreat. But the damage has been done, Blaze. They got the Rax.
Yep, that's what they came for. And they're actually happy to rest on that, go farm the Ancients with the Gyro, and then wait for the next Roshan, which will be spawning within the next 4 minutes. And actually, Huskar will go for the Halberd here, just going to build up that raw evasion and make it very difficult for him to bring down. Like, obviously, he's not immortal in terms of the magical damage output. He still takes about 40% damage from spells, but at least the auto attacks he's not going to be threatened by, because not only that chance to evade, but also that disarm effect.
So Mike now holds his Sacred Relic here, but he continues to sport the Granite Golem and try to rock his way through and pick up that Radiance here in hopes of a new peaking window for Freedom. But as acknowledged through the pause, this is that mighty stack from Atune. The fish fishing up now a huge set of farm. And now we're going to be seeing probably his SNY get completed. And at that point, he can move on to picking up something like his BKB if he feels necessary to battle back against something like this Invoker, the Coconut, and obviously a lot that Spectre has to offer. Being able to nullify the Dagger, the Desolate Dispersion damage is very, very handy. So I am curious to see, though, Blaze Greedy holding 2.7k gold. I was wagering could be possibly like a blink, but should he just continue building up like more of a utility Doom and get like an AC? I don't know if Ags is really much of a thing anymore, but what do you think would be the best bet here for Greedy to get the most out of the Doom in this game?
I mean, Ags is definitely possible, but I would definitely prefer the Assault Cross. I think that there's so much value in being able to bring down the enemy golem faster. You can't Medallion or Solar Crest golems. You can still desolate them, but I think the best thing for Doom would be to get that AC aura against it, against the buildings, just make the siege easier. We're going to see them actually go pretty hard here onto the Ancient Granite Golem. They're going to even go for the Life Break just to slow it down, try to bring it down, and yeah, it will crack. The question is where they go from there.
Ooh, don't jinx it too soon. 104 life. The Granite Golem is able to kind of barely make it away. Is it worth it to Mike? Yeah, he heads it all the way back to the fountain here to heal it up. While that happens, though, Infamous gladly make their move for the Tier 2 instead. It's obvious that Freedom are not going to be looking to contest this outer tower, or probably the one at the top lane, which, speaking of which, Francis already muscling down this top lane. He's getting close to penetrating into the high ground now. I'm sure Infamous are going to have to consider pulling off at this point, and it looks like they will. One TP towards the mid lane, though, from Kotaro. It's to go for Roche. Roche is up. They'll head in for that instead, but if no one goes for top, Francis is just going to continue to siege here.
Yeah, that's a classic Francis tactic. He's like, at this top lane on Radiant side, he loves just always force people to TP back and is able to really kind of manage the back and forth really well, where if only one person goes to defend, he'll just solo kill them, and if it's significantly more, then he's going to be able to disengage and slip right through their fingers. We're going to see Mike move in with the Radiant Seas. Aton gets a couple misses against this Gyrocopter, but they are going to see the Radiance and haste away, or actually go to contest the Golem, which I'm not so sure about.
Oh, Taro does get burned up quite a bit. The Doom again on the Eagle, easily bursted apart. Infernal Blades down the Birdie, and that will allow them to now take advantage in numbers. It's been a very difficult game for Eagle in this one. I don't even know if I recollect too many eggs this game that have been able to be super effective, if any at all.
No, he has not cast the spell once.
Francis caught under now, excels big mighty freezing field, and will be taken down. 2 fall all day from the side of Freedom, and they are able to walk away with the Roche, with the Aegis. Infamous still in just as much control as they were the last time they made a siege, and it looks like they're going to try to walk away with some more base damage.
Yep. We are going to be seeing the Doom on cooldown when they go for the siege, though, if they are going to be pressing it within this kind of timing window they have right now. But it looks like for the moment, at least, they're trying to make sure that Mike can't creep cut, because obviously if Mike has the TP, as he's going to rage TP out, okay, they'll just clobber him with all that physical damage. They're just a nice little Doom aura there, as well as the Vlad's aura enhances everybody's right click, and they just bring it down quick.
Jesus, that is just crazy. I thought Mike was going to be good. I'm sure he thought he was going to be good, but it is not good. He's out now 30 seconds, no buyback. Sunstrike does good work for Kotaro, but it'll only amp him up a bit more. He's happy to armlet toggle his way from this pesky little mosquito biting of a Ray. It does force out the Dazzle Grave, however, and he's going to have to reposition and step back. But now, just happy to armlet his way back into nearly half of its life. Tier 3 will be going down here. Blaze racks wide open. Doom steps on forward. Greedy with the BKB, trying to get a setup, but it's just more of an intimidation as they are going to be able to muscle them back. The Rax is now set to go down. Infamous not even needing to expend their Aegis. will be able to get it clear. Now can Freedom find the fight back? Man, oh man, Sumbi does not like that. He is just getting burned apart. Now Guitarro gonna get saved up from the grave. Right clicks down the egg with ease. Looks to go for Francis. Takes him down as well. And he ain't done yet. He's just gonna armlet toggle his way into a triple kill before the Aegis finally will pop. Vintage. Infamous play / unknown play. That's right. They showed out some awesome Huskar plays when they were playing at the Frankfurt Major in the group stage, and here they're bringing back a bit. And for the second appearance of Huskar, it's been fun to watch already.
Yeah, it's just so hard to deal with this at this stage in the game. He has so much raw HP and effective HP to work with here. He's just going to go in hard on his opposition. If they're stuck fighting him, he'll halberd, he'll armlet, and he'll just bait them into death. Oh, there's going to be an ultimate pop for the Spectre just to finish off the Huskar. That Desolate finally takes its toll, but obviously there are 4 racks down. Infamous happy to be wiped out, only to come back that much stronger.
And not looking to throw in the towel yet. Team Freedom, now down 2 sets of racks, will look for any opportunity to kind of pull this game back. And Mike has been able to finish that Radiance, of course, building out into the Morbid Mass. Looks like Vlad's is on the way. Still, though, they are short quite a tool set here to be able to find the potential in some of these team fights. We're looking at the net worth, top 3 all belonging here to Infamous right now. I can't wait to see what kind of crazy inventories they put together now. Still Doom holding a bit for himself. Qatar did go down, but he was able to finish off the AC here, which does free up some of the options there for Greedy. While a Tune here still holds about 3K, not yet picking up his BKB, you know. Maybe he awaits some of his other options here, but nonetheless, soon Infamous will probably go for the finishing blow in this top lane.
Yep. So, I mean, the Witch Doctor did get his Death Ward out for about 3 or 4 seconds that fight, but you can tell, like, just with things like Solar Crest and Halberd, that until that thing has bounces, until it has Ags, that it's really easy to just avoid. The primary targeting effect of the ward still can miss, and we're seeing that Solar Crest do really good work against it. Along with that, of course, a defensive weave they keep on using just makes it so easy for Katara Hayama to just jump in.
Eagle, will this guy be able to get an egg off all game? He gets jumped right there and doomed up, and they'll just leave him to get cooked. The bird stuck in the trees on the left while the fight really breaks out right here. The meat and potatoes. As both Witch Doctor and Spectre will go down. Finally, they look to touch base with Eagle. Gets off the ray, but he dies. He knows there's no point in dishing out the egg, and it feels like Freedom know there's no point in continuing with this game. They have thrown in the towel blaze, and it will be Infamous with the Game 1 win. Some may say a bit of an upset already.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really want to be the guy to say I told you so, but I do want to go back to that final 5th pick for Freedom, going and picking up the support Phoenix instead of the Ancient Apparition. While Eagle or Big Bad Bird may be his namesake, I don't feel like that was the hero choice for this game. The Phoenix wasn't able to contribute the way that he needed to. He did not cast Supernova a single time, knowing that it would just die instantly. And although he was able to soak up a couple of Dooms, which can be considered a positive thing for a support, it made him irrelevant. I feel like just keeping some distance with a hero like AA, the Spectre, as well as the Lifestealer Radiance, that becomes a much more a threat, and I just feel like you're able to accomplish so much more in the game in general. Threaten the Huskar, maybe dissuade him from going armlet. I think that they really struggled ever since that kind of mid-game timing period where they had ultimates, but the ultimates weren't useful.
We'll see if Freedom are going to be able to shake off game number 1 and approach the draft in a bit of a different light for game number 2. Infamous, though, feeling confident. They get the game 1 win. One more win secures their spot into the grand final to face off against Shazam. I'm KotLGuy, that's Blaze. We'll cut to a small break, but when we return, it's game 2 of Freedom versus Infamous.